Evening, everyone. Hope you're all well. Welcome to Sports Unplugged. I'm here tonight with Callum Sanderson of Team Coppish. You all know Callum pretty well by now. He's pretty much everywhere these days. But Callum might have a passion for football, but he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of UFC. And that's where we're going to start off. But we're not going to start by looking at UFC 268. We'll get there in a minute. Quick recap: UFC 267. We chatted about it on the show, myself and Gav, last week with everyone in the chat, and the cards looked like it was top heavy, but the top two, and Peter Yan. And I thought Peter Yan against Sandhagen, that looked like it could go anyway. That could go either way, and it showed. It did. It was one of those fights that is a fight of the year candidate. What was your take on it going into it and post-fight? What did you think?
So, Kev, I'm holding a massive L at the moment because before that fight, I said I thought Peter Yan was a bit overrated and a bit hyped. You looked at his record. He hadn't obviously beaten Aljo. He looked as though he was going to beat Aljo, but he hadn't beaten Aljo.
Yeah.
Before that, he'd beaten Jose Aldo, who, let's be honest, is a legend, but isn't the same Aldo. Before that, he had beaten a few other guys, but no one special. So I actually thought Sandhagen was going to win this fight. He proved me completely wrong. Peter Yan is the truth, and I hold a massive L. I take everything back I say about him. Like, the guy is special. He's a special fighter, but what a fight, man.
He looks complete, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I would look at Sandhagen and I thought, my God, you're tall, you're rangy, and he's quick and light on his feet, and he never let Peter Yan settle. But I thought, how the hell does he manage to make weight at that height? And we'll get on to UFC 268 because there's another one on that card that's very similar. But then it went to full 5. Did you agree? You agree with the scorecards? It was. I mean, I had it 3-2.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
I think we were messaging at the time.
We were, yeah. It was like I thought it was 3-2.
Not a 4-1.
No,
not a 4-1.
I thought Sandhagen started really well. I thought he had the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then Yan just came in and to say he almost bossed him was an understatement, but he managed him in such a way that whether if you wanted to stay up, you were going to get clapped. If you want to go to the ground, I'll take you there too. It was just an epic 5-rounder. And I mean, it was the right winner. It was a bit of an iffy scorecard. And then we thought, right, move on to the main event. And it's just going to be, token gestures. The end of the night, we're going to get our quick knockout and we'll all go home. Happy days. Yeah. And then up steps 43. 43 over Teixeira in the last chance saloon with the performance of his life. And no understatement, Blachowicz is a solid fighter with a brilliant stand-up game, but Teixeira just absolutely mauled him.
Yeah,
start to finish. It got him onto the ground, and he just absolutely destroyed him from start to finish. He must have been just like, how? How did that happen?
It was a mauling. It was a proper beatdown, and Jan Blachowicz is not rubbish. We've seen him against Dominic Reyes, Dominic Reyes took John Jones to his absolute limit. Then we saw him against Izzy. Beat Izzy. Like, there's no one who's arguing with that decision. He beat Izzy clean. 3 rounds to 2. Could even have said 4 rounds to 1. He got destroyed by Glover. And got a shout out to Israel Adesanya because before the fight, he said that he predicted Glover to win and that his ground game and his pressure would be too much for Yan. And everyone was saying that he was being a bit salty. I didn't think he was being a bit salty. I just thought he was overlooking Yan. I thought Yan was just on a tear at the moment and was going to dispatch of this Teixeira, but it was totally opposite.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to be able to get into the ground as easily as he did. And I didn't think he'd be able to manage him on the ground as comfortably as he did as well. And that's not to take away from Blachowicz. It was just when Glover got into any kind of a clinch, when he got him on the cage, when he got him on the ground, he was just doing what he wanted. You know, it was literally the ultimate men versus boys. I thought it was a great card and a hell of an event for Abu Dhabi to pull off. And then we roll on a week later, you head to Madison Square Garden. You know what I mean?
Sorry to cut you, Kev. Do you think Blachowicz? So Jonathan said he thinks that Blachowicz underestimated Glover. Do you think he did, or do you think Glover was just in that flow state?
I think that Glover had a game plan that, if it worked, was going to always work, irrespective of how he was taken, whether he was taken seriously or whether he wasn't. He's brilliant takedown. He's
top.
He was never going to stand and trade and in a war with Blachowicz. His only plan was to get him down, but I didn't think he'd be able to get him down that easy. I honestly thought Blachowicz would have the power to be able to back him up and straighten him, basically. Just, you know, as soon as you got one punch, and that would put him off shooting for maybe into the third round when he panicked. But it was just a polar opposite. Whether he took the fight lightly because of his age, if he did, more fool him. I doubt it, because he's been around for a fair while himself. He knows the ups and downs. He knows that on any given night, anyone can beat anyone on their day. And look, I mean, if Grover's going to have a big payday, probably early next year, February, March, maybe in a rematch, maybe, who knows. But he'll get a hell of a payday and a hell of a send-off. You know, all credit to the man.
Indeed.
You know, then, as I said, we move on to Madison Square Garden. Look, this card is stacked top to bottom. I'm only going to focus on the top three fights, and then Frankie Edgar against Marlon Vera. Now, Frankie Edgar is another one who's been around for, I don't know, him and Father Time sit down for coffee. You know what I mean? It's like he's been at the top of the top echelons of MMA for a long, long time. And I think win, lose, or draw, I think this is probably it for him. You know?
I love Edgar. Edgar's probably one of the last sort of old school fighters who, I mean, Aldo's still about, but I think Edgar was in the UFC, but he was in the UFC before Aldo. I think he fought at 55, 45, and now he's at 35. Wow. Again, is crazy as well. The fact that he was even competing at 55, when you see the size of some of these guys now, is mental. But he's just a guy. Unless you put him to sleep like Ortega or Sanhagen, he's just going to keep on coming. And we've seen him upset the odds before. Yair Rodriguez, he absolutely battered Yair Rodriguez while he was in the form of his life. Don't sleep on Edgar. No. I think Vera is a favorite for a reason, because he's a younger, fresher man. But if Frankie gets going, his footwork is still impeccable. His takedown defense, you just worry about whether he can take a punch like you used to be able to.
Crowd could be right up for this, and the crowd could push him on to a hell of a performance. That's what we're going to hope for. You know, the fight card rolls, and by the time Edgar gets to the ring, that it's hard to believe that these boys are the same age. Kev drinks Guinness.
We're not. I don't think we're the same age.
Not even remotely close, my friend. But I'll take it. I will take it to the
Red
bank
Steve's
every day of the week. The check's in the post. But I mean, how do you see it going? I mean, it could go. I don't know if it could go either way. I mean, Vea is he's a favorite he's a good favorite. You know, he should have enough if he, you know, to push on for major honors. He should be doing a job here and trying to look good doing it. So how do you see it going?
My head says Vera, my heart says Frankie. I think Vera will squeeze out a decision. I don't think he stops Frankie. I don't think he's that concussive of a puncher or kicker. And Frankie is hard to pin down. Like Sanhagen caught him with just a special flying knee. Ortega caught Frankie as he was sort of plodding forward and coming along. Frankie doesn't usually do that.
Yeah.
I think Vera gets a decision, but I think Frankie makes it very difficult. I don't think it's going to be an especially exciting fight, but I think Vera,
technical, one for the purists type of thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? Hopefully, because there's enough of the other in this card. So one for the purists, one for 3 rounds, and one for the judges, maybe.
Yeah.
The one I'm really looking forward to is Rose Yamagunas against Wei Ling.
Same.
I cannot wait to watch this. I love watching Rosemary. Yeah, my goodness, I'm not going to call her Thug Rose because
Yeah,
it's just never. It's just rude. But she is something else. Now, Whaley is, I think, unreal. I think she was cock cold back in May. It was about May, wasn't it?
Yeah,
And
about that
it
time.
was one hell of a left crescent kick that just like stopped her in her tracks, dead to the world. Good night.
Yeah.
She didn't come around for a couple of minutes after. She might have been there, but she wasn't there.
Yeah, she was arguing about the stoppage, and then she watched it back, and then was like, oh, "Okay,
oh my god!"
Sense. It was almost similar to when Aldo got knocked out by McGregor, and Aldo was just like, "No, what happened?" And he's like, he saw it back, and he was like, "That's what happened."
Yeah, it doesn't happen often in the sport,
no,
but
it doesn't. When it does, it's usually special.
It's I mean, look, back in May, Whaley was 2-1 favorite, and bar that kick, I don't think there's anything in my mind has changed to say that Whaley should be favorite for this, as long as she has learned.
But here's the thing: I don't think there's anything she could have learned from it because, so the kick itself, it was a thing of beauty, and the reason I say this is I've done kickboxing, I've done a little bit of Muay Thai, and it's very hard to look at an opponent because if you look at Rose's eyes are at Whaley's legs.
Yeah.
Then not only is she looking and kicking somewhere else, but the kick itself, when you usually throw a kick to someone's face, sort of a crescent kick, you usually come over the shoulder. She's come through the middle of the garden here.
Yeah.
It's a nearly impossible technique to master. But when you land it, as you can see, it's devastating because it's a kick you don't see.
You don't see it.
You just don't see it. And it was,
I think earlier on the fight, they were trading leg kicks.
Yeah.
Well, Whaley was going in with leg kicks, and she was probably expecting one or two to come back.
Yeah.
Watch the eyes, and the leg moved. She probably even maybe went to check it.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at where her hands were. What she could maybe take from it is control distance better. She was very square on.
Yeah. Rose can do that to you, though.
Yeah, she's so experienced, isn't she? She's been in with them all. There isn't any woman in or around that division that she hasn't shared a ring with.
Yeah. What scares me about Rose is she trains with Kamaru Usman and Justin Gaethje, and they both say you don't want to take a punch from Rose. Now, Gaethje's been hit by some of the hardest hitters at 155. Kamaru Usman's been hit by some of the hardest hitters at 170, and they both turn around and say, we don't want this woman who weighs 115 pounds to hit you.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
Yeah, she's special. This is why I decided, look, we'll focus on these three fights because they can go either way. There's a good, solid argument for both fighters. And I wouldn't be bothered as long as it's a good fight. I'd watch him again.
Oh, yeah. I think if Whaley wins, I think they do a third fight.
Oh, yeah. I think irrespective, maybe they fight someone else, but I think they
come back.
Yeah, because they're just so good for each other, and they're such a draw in their own right. And it's not often you get cards where the champion faces number one. And here we have it twice.
Yeah.
Because the main event is Usman Covington. Oh, where'd you start?
So when I speak about Covington, I've got to separate the man and the fighter.
I think I gotta separate the WWE style image of what he's projecting and what he's selling from the fighter, because
that's true.
For a man who never voted in 2016, let alone voted for a Republican, this man has found God like Trump finds a tax loophole. You know what I mean? And he just jumped on the MAGA train. And he is riding it all the way to the bank because it has put him in. I think it put him in a position early in his career that he shouldn't have been in. It got him up into high-level pay-per-views and into credibility as a fighter before he was ready.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong, he is an exceptional fighter.
Hell of a fighter.
You know, and you can go back to the first fight. I mean, if you went back to the first fight and you look at it cold today, both fighters are better than what they were on the day.
Yes. That's what's scary about this fight.
Yeah. And it was a hell of a fight. It was arguably fight of the year when it happened.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know?
But as you just hit the nail on the head, it's incredible that, one, they're both going again, but the first fight was so close, but they both improved. The question is, who's improved more? Because I don't really think there's a gap to close for Colby. He lost it in the last round. For me, it was 2-2 going into that last round. So it's not like he was getting pieced up and then got stopped. No. For me, whoever won that last round won the fight. So it's not a case of Colby has to close a gap or a distance between the two. It's a case of, has he improved enough to catch Usman, and how much has Usman improved? Because under Trevor Whitman, and again, Henry Hooft is a hell of a trainer, phenomenal trainer. He gets the fundamentals of kickboxing down to a T. But we see it with Justin Gaethje. We've seen it with Rose Namajunas. Under Trevor Whitman, their footwork, their timing, their speed, their accuracy goes to another level. And if you've got a specimen like Kamaru Usman, who's a phenomenal wrestler, got natural power, natural speed, and then you add that technique and that flair to it, you're dealing with a man you might not be able to beat at 170.
How does Covington, how does he win?
Okay, so I've been going around this in my head. I know it sounds silly because Usman is a great wrestler, but in theory, Colby is a better wrestler. Colby was Division 1, Usman was Division 2. So in theory, he's a better wrestler.
Yeah.
I think you need to try and take Usman down a few times, or at least pressure him up against the cage, try and knee him in the leg, get a bit rough if you have to, kick and punch to the body, get his gas tank going. If you can get him scrambling, if you can get him in wrestling exchanges, that's where I think Colby can win it, because Colby's the best at doing that we've seen. Usman's not really a scramble wrestler. He's a wrestler that if he gets you down, he's keeping you down. But if he can't get you down, then he'll just press you up against the cage. Whereas Colby just will keep on taking you down. It doesn't matter if you get back up with Colby. He'll just take you down and keep on taking you down. And that drains you. Getting up drains you. So I think that's how you beat Usman. I don't think he beats him striking. I think if it becomes a striking match again, I think Usman wins. But that's for me how Colby does it.
Yeah, for me, Usman has got such a great straight right. You know, and I mean, these are 4-ounce gloves. There's nowhere to hide. It's you struggle to defend yourself at the best of times, and if you haven't got very good head movement, which I don't think Covington has, I don't think his head movement is brilliant.
Yeah,
you're going to be open to that straight right, the counter left, the knees, the kicks,
and there's a southpaw.
For me, Covington has to get him to bridge the gap. And to bridge the gap, you got to be willing to take strikes. But you're taking strikes against a clinical striker who knows how to maintain the distance. So, I mean, it can go, and again, it could go either way. I think Usman wins. I think Usman wins probably third round. I think he stops him.
Okay.
I think if there's any way, shape, or form for Covington to win, it'll be points. It'll be 5 rounds, and he'll do it on takedowns.
Yeah, agreed.
But if it comes down to striking and pure power, I think Usman is a lot better than what he was. I think he's a lot more accurate than he was. Evening,
Abby reckons Covington by points. Yeah. I think Usman stops
him
in the fourth.
Yeah. It's one of those fights that, look, I'll be truthful, right? I watch UFC as very casual. I know what I'm watching. I know the wrestling styles, and I know what kind of should happen, but I'm not encyclopedic about it. But I usually record all the event, whatever event is on. I'll get up on a Sunday morning, I'll have my coffee, I'll sit down instead of watching what used to be Goals on Sunday.
Oh yes,
you know what I mean. I used to watch Goals on Sunday and wait for whoever he was interviewing. I'll stick on whatever UFC event was on the night before, and I was just sit down and chill out on a Sunday morning and watch that. So, but this one, I think after our game, might have a little kip, and I think I might set my alarm for about 11:30 and get up and watch this, because right throughout this card, it is just stacked, man. There isn't a bad fight in there. There isn't a waste of time in there. Even the prelim, that's the first one. There's 5 or 6. There's 5 fights, I think, on the main card.
Yeah, they moved the Chandler and Gaethje fight so Trevor Whitman can corner Rose Namajunas and Usman. But
so
even
that'll be the last prelim fight with it.
No, that's the first one on the main card. They changed it to the first one. So when that's gonna be a crazy fight. Like, those two are just both animals, both crazy. If that gets out of the second round, it'll be a miracle, in my opinion. Like, that's gonna be a crazy fight.
That's mental. And then look, I mean, out of the 3, who are you going with? If you were to lay, put your head on the block. Where's Callum Sanders's 5-pound note going?
Oh, I think the fight in the night will be out of those 3 we've spoken about, the best fight I think will be Whaley and Rose.
Oh man, I hope so.
I'm torn. Colby and I think Whaley, Rose. I think they're just going to go to war. I think Whaley is just going to go in with a new
shot action, isn't she?
Yeah, it's just going to be like, right, I'm not going to sit around and wait for you to tee off on me. We're going to get to it straight away.
No, Chris is dead right, man. Goals on Sunday was good, but Golazzo, that music, the tune. Often, do you ever go on YouTube and you flick on those old YouTube, the old like theme tunes and stuff like that? That one always crops up, man. It is
legendary.
That is like Ravanelli and Viali and all them boys. Yeah, you can love that. But then we go to Vegas for Canelo against Pan. Now look, multi-weight world champion takes on undefeated IBF world champion in a unification fight. But to be fair, I look at the card. That's the only fight on the card.
Yeah,
there might be some good fights, whatever, but that's the only one people are going to be ever interested in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this is why I kind of side with Eddie Hearn. All right, I know Eddie Hearn splits opinion, which is fair enough. Every promoter does. But you look at the fights he tries to put on when he has main cards like Joshua's and whoever else. He always tries to put a good card on, not just the main fight.
You'll always find Katie Taylor fighting for a world title on an
exactly. Yeah, you could see Dylan White on there. You might see Chisora or Parker on there. Yeah. You're guaranteed to see at least a good few fights.
Yeah.
Whereas, again, this is where I think boxing's really missing a trick, because this is where Dana White's taking things to a new level as well. Yeah. We've just spoken about the UFC card. That's on pay-per-view in the States as well. Look how stacked that card is.
It is.
And you look at the boxing card, and it's just, it feels as though they're ripping off people knowing they can rip people off.
Well, what I found baffling to me was, I just did a bit of research earlier on today, and I just typed in Canelo plant, and it steered me towards CBS Sports. And I saw the price of the pay-per-view in the States. It's $79.95.
It's crazy.
It's $80. That's £60. 55 pounds, 60 pounds. That is crazy money. Now look, fighters get paid. It's a big good luck to them, right? But this is why, in my opinion, so many people are drifting away from boxing as a whole. Because for UFC's flaws, and there are a fair few, you have one champion, you have good weight divisions with legitimate weight gaps in between, so it's very difficult to jump weight and to jump divisions. You have top 10, top 15 that is a legitimate top 15.
Yeah.
To get up the ladder, you have to fight your way up the ladder. And when you get up the ladder into a top 5 position, you can fight a champion. Yeah. And the champions are fighting champions. They don't duck away and fight once a year, unless there's exceptional circumstances. It's rare.
Yeah.
Boxing, the amount of times I look at myself, I look at boxing going back years, and you look at Mayweather, Pac-Man, as fans, we were robbed.
Yeah.
And I look at how many times as fans over the years we were robbed of the fights that we wanted and we deserved because of promoters and greed. And the fans ultimately are getting to the stage now, I think, that unless it's an exceptional fight, I just don't think. I think people are walking from boxing like they've never walked before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's frustrating because again, I grew up loving boxing, still love boxing, but unless you're someone like me who's a purist and loves boxing for what it is, you're not going to bring in the casuals, and without bringing in the casuals, the fighters aren't going to make as much money.
No,
It's just
because the
that's the
smaller
way it is.
cards in your local areas is where the bread and butter is.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, look, I agree with you 100%. There is absolutely no way I'm ever setting that. I'm not setting that kind of a trend, but that's not boxing for me. That's just look
That's
at
exhibition
me.
stuff.
It's. I see him and I look at him and I think, do you know what? I wished that one of those fighters would have forgot themselves for 30 seconds and just just forget who's in front of you, see someone behind you with a guard, and just absolutely lay it into them.
Yeah,
Because
I'll be honest, we're YouTubers. Obviously, we're nowhere the level of like a Jake Paul. I'll be honest, even if there was a boxer I thought behind the scenes, or I might have a chance, there's no way I'm stepping in a ring with a boxer. I'm just not doing it because I think it's look, here's the thing. I think it's a little disrespectful for people like Jake Paul to call out people like Clarissa Shields, and him fighting MMA fighters in boxing, I don't have a massive problem with. But when he starts talking about actual boxers, when he starts mentioning people like Canelo and stuff, I'm like, you want to slow your roll. Like, like these guys will actually hurt you really bad. This won't become an exhibition. This will be is he going to make it out with all his faculties?
It's an old saying, you don't play boxing.
No,
Do you know what I mean?
you don't.
And I've been around. Look, my missus went years ago. She went training with a friend of hers with Jane Couch. And for those of you who don't know, Jane Couch was the pre to Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
Jane Couch was the one who was one of the originators of women's boxing in the UK, and she went training with her. She came out after 20 minutes, and she turned around to me. Kev, she's an absolute animal. She's just out there. She's crazy.
Yeah.
And what she was able to do back then without having the nutritionist and the money behind her and everything like that is
damn right, Laura.
Well, Callum knows, man. Callum came prepared tonight. But get back to the event. I mean, Canelo Plant, how do you see it? Because Plant has size and reach advantage. He's unbeaten. Granted, his record is nowhere in any realm near what Canelo's is. But any unbeaten this is Canelo's 7th unbeaten world champion that he's faced.
So here's the thing with boxing records, bro. I've kind of stopped looking at them now because people are speaking about Wilder. It was my biggest gripe with Wilder and Fury, to be honest. In my opinion, Fury is the best heavyweight in the world, and he was before he fought Wilder.
Yeah.
For me, AJ's the second best. Wilder's probably third best. But my gripe with Fury and Wilder was always they were using AJ's name and talking about AJ this, AJ that. AJ's got a better resume than both of them put together. Yeah. And that's saying a lot because AJ's been doing it for less time than them. Boxing is so easy to get a padded record. Like, I'll be honest, if I wanted to turn boxer tomorrow and I had the right contacts, I could get to 10-0 easily. People would be like, oh, this new guy's 10-0. And really and truly, all you've done is just found people I can beat. Yeah. It's not like, and that again, that's another problem with boxing as opposed to MMA. You can't have a padded record in MMA. It's almost impossible because you'll run into someone who will just take that O. Yeah. So again, I don't really look at his record. What I will say is he's good. Canelo's special though. And
when did you first become aware of Canelo?
I first became aware of Canelo when he fought Miguel Cotto's brother. And he gave him a beat down. And then after that, it was Austin Trout. And then Obviously, you got the Mayweather fight, and from there, I mean, apart from the Mayweather fight, I think he lost the fight to Erislandy Lara. I also think he lost the 2 Golovkin fights, but again, both contentious. Canelo right now is pound for pound number 1.
Yeah.
He's brilliant, and even that press conference where they both had a little scrap, even in that you saw Caleb. He slipped Caleb and he hit him twice before Caleb. Like, if that's a boxing match, Caleb's getting rocked there.
Yeah.
So I don't see how Caleb does it.
No, I don't either. For me, he's got the height, he's got the reach. I don't think he's got the power. And if you can't straighten someone up to respect them, for them to respect your power, Canelo will work his way inside. He'll take the 1 or 2 shots to get inside, and he'll unload. And he just won't stop. I don't see it going past 7, 8, maybe 7 rounds, maybe 8. But I think there's serious. I think there's whether it's a case of something was said, but
I think
whether it's a case of that they want to sell PPVs. Who knows?
Probably both. I think it was a language thing because he was calling them an MFer. And Canelo, I think, took that as just saying something about my mum, as opposed to what the actual term is. And then obviously Canelo wasn't too happy.
Yeah, it's still a good fight. It's still a good fight. Would I pay to watch it? No. I pay enough for sports. I will find if that's on the radio, if that's 5 Live or covering it, or TalkSport or covering it, I'll listen to it. If the UFC is finished, if not, I'll watch it later in the week.
Yeah. But I think they'll wait until the UFC finishes. Canelo tends to do that. He waits till the UFC's finished before.
Plus down East Coast, West Coast. So you know, one's in New York, one's in Nevada. So they shouldn't have any issues there. I mean, there's a hell of a lot of other stuff going on this weekend with cricket. The T20, the group stages are wrapping up now. I think England are playing South Africa on Sunday. Australia are playing tomorrow. So, you know, that'll be, when that gets down to the business end, that'll be middle of the week next week. You're in the semifinals and final, it'll be finished. But it's shaping up to be a good tournament. The F1 is in Mexico. Not many races to go now, only this one. You've got Brazil and then the 3 in the Middle East. Hamilton's 12 points behind.
I'm laughing at Chris Pratt because he knows I have absolutely no idea about cricket.
I'll over that because look, Callum has West Indian heritage.
I know. I'm letting the team down. I'm even wearing a Jamaica top tonight as well. Look at that.
And it's just unfortunate.
I know. Do you know what? T20 I'm actually gonna try and get into because Chris, yourself, and Avi, you won't let me live this down, so I've got to try and get into it.
At least with the T20, it's an hour and a half, an hour and a quarter each, hour and a quarter batting, hour and a half tops. It's quick, it's 20 overs a side, it's over in less than 3 hours. And there's something happening on every ball. It's not like Test cricket. Look, I prefer Test cricket, but there is something on every delivery, whether it's how it's bowled, the pitch, the situation of the game. There is something always on it, so it's really, really good.
I'll give it a go.
It is worth a crack, to be fair. Look, but the F1, it's getting down to the business end of the season now. Hamilton's 12 points behind. He cannot lose this.
So
he cannot lose this weekend.
So if am I right in saying if Hamilton were to win this one, the championship, is he the outright leader?
Hamilton's 12 points behind. It's 25 for a win and 18 for second. So they will go into Brazil virtually neck and neck if Hamilton wins and Jos Verstappen finishes second with 3 races to go. So it's right up in the air. Okay. But the way things are going, it's looking to me like Red Bull have got the edge and they've got a very, very quick car and a very good driver. Whether the driver going for his first world title against Hamilton, who's going for an 8th, is capable of holding his nerve. But who knows? But Mexico's a good track as well. It's hot. It's there's a really good stadium part of the track where it's like it comes in a horseshoe and you've got stands all the way around. It's just one of those circuits that's really good. It usually produces good races. What was that one there? Hang on.
This season is Verstappen's
Verstappen's
season.
title. Yeah, it should be Ghost, and he's look, he's young, and as long as he holds his nerve, he's in a great position. He's been really, really good. Would I consider Hamilton to be the GOAT of F1? Schumacher? Yeah. Look, for me, it's still Senna, but I think it depends on how old you are and what you like. I love watching Senna race because he didn't give two shits, and he would take you off twice if it meant him winning, but so would Shuey. Schumacher, once he got into the Ferrari, and once he got the Ferrari right, he was on another level. He was probably responsible for more people walking away from Formula One than any driver ever, because he was
so dominant.
He was a metronome. He just kept winning, and it got boring, And it wasn't until Hamilton came along and the rivalries that he's had coming through, he was always in against someone who was either as good as him or in a car that was slightly better than his. But once Hamilton moved to Mercedes, once you get the best driver and the best car, and the best mechanics, with the biggest budget, you generally will produce a world champion. And if you don't, something's massively wrong.
Did Schumacher and Hamilton ever cross over, or were they completely different eras?
They did. I think Schumacher was racing. Schumacher joined. Yeah, they did, because Schumacher joined Mercedes at the very start when Mercedes first came back into F1, and they were miles off it. But he was one who came back into Mercedes to help them develop their original car, while Hamilton was still at McLaren, and they would have raced each other. I mean, just because they were on the same track, I don't think they were ever really racing each other. Hamilton would have been at the top end of the track with whoever for pole first, second, third. When Schumacher at the time was racing to put Mercedes into a top 10, just to try to develop the car. Yeah, Bonks, that is something that I'll never watch. I know the Breeders' Cup is on in America. It's the biggest horse racing event of the year. I will watch pretty much any sport going. I can't stand horse racing, man.
I've never.
I can't stand horse racing, and I got a real bugbear with dog racing. So, but that's just a personal thing with me. I can't stand dog racing.
Yeah,
horse racing. Even though I live in a rural part of Ireland, and there's loads of point-to-point meetings and stuff like that, horse racing is just something I've never been able to get into.
Yeah, same.
It's just not my bag. Good day out, because when I was living in Bristol, it's not far from Cheltenham, and I used to go up with my father-in-law up to Cheltenham when the event was on.
Sorry to cut you guys. If you don't smash the like for Kevin just pouring that pint so perfectly, I know what you're doing. I don't drink, Kevin, but you poured that like an expert. I'm not gonna lie. I was watching it thinking, is that going to spill over? I rate that, bro.
We'll just leave that there now for a few minutes and leave it do its thing naturally. It'll get there in the end.
I rate that.
But I mean, look, the only reason that we've ever come in touch and contact before is football. And there is bucket loads on this weekend, man. There is absolutely shed loads. I mean, let's quickly talk about us. You're living in London, obviously. So you got these kind of games 5-6 times a year. Where your West Ham mates or your Chelsea mates or your Arsenal mates are going to be on to you 5-6 times a year.
Yeah.
What are your West Ham mates saying to you?
To be honest, they're all really cool. Like, West Ham fans in London are probably the nicest of the bunch to Liverpool fans, because there's no natural rivalry. Like, to Liverpool fans, to everyone else, they're not so kind. But to us, like, they have a natural respect for us. I think they know that we're a top team. They're having a great season so far. Yeah. Like, they really are doing really well. But I think I don't think they're fearful of us, but they know if there's one team that could come to their place and turn them over, it's us. And I think they have that respect for us. I think they have a professional fear of us that they know how good we can be. I mean, last season we went there, we weren't even in good form, and we absolutely tore them to shreds.
I think I was on with Chris last night, and Chris mentioned the lineup that we turned up with, and we had Henderson and Nat Phillips playing at the back last season. That Shaqiri cross for Mo's goal, that was just a special goal. But it took that level of special goal to, was it 1-1 at that stage, or was it 2-1 at that stage?
No, Salah scored the first goal, which again was a kind of an individual effort.
Yeah.
And then he scored that to make it the second, and then the third was Genie. Oxen Firmino played a lovely 1-2, laid it on for Genie, and he scored.
I think West Ham this season are probably the most effective side outside of Chelsea in the league this season. I think they're very good at what they do. They might not be the beautiful on the eye for the purist, but 1 to 11, they all know their jobs. They're drilled in their jobs, and they're very good at the system that they play. That 4-2-3-1, that sitting midfielder where one goes, one stays. You're attacking mids who join up and link the play, and you've got a striker who's got a bit of a thing for scoring the goals against us.
Yeah. I was saying we did a preview over on Coppish. I actually played against Mikel Antonio because he's my friend's cousin, and we played against. This is going back years, must be about 7-8 years now. And at the time, he hadn't really broken through at West Ham, but I played on the opposite team to him. He was playing up front, I was playing centre midfield, and I remember I lost the ball to him in a position where I was like, okay, cool, I'll win this back, or the defenders will do with it, and he scored like a 30-yarder. And for the rest of the game, I kid you not, he just bullied me. He bullied me physically. He bullied me for pace, for skill. I just couldn't do anything to him. I remember coming off and like my friend at the time didn't tell me he was a professional before we finished the game. And we came off and he come up to me and he's like, you had a good game. And I was thinking, you're mugging me off. I didn't have a good game. You just destroyed me. And my friend came over to me and he's like, yeah, he's at West Ham. He'll probably break through soon. And I was like, well, he better, because
he's just going to ruin your Sundays.
Like he just ruined any dream I had of potentially even being a semi-pro, let alone a professional. But he is quality. And I mean, I'm going to put Chris Brack on the spot here. He doesn't rate Declan Rice. I want to know your opinion on it, Kev, because I might be a bit biased, but I rate Rice really highly.
I'm completely biased because he turned us down to go and play for England.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm still salty as fuck over it. No, I can be a grown-up when I want to be. I just don't want to be.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Declan Rice, if he adds that threat of running in behind, I think he has the tools, the ability to be the complete centre mid. I don't think he's ever going to be the guy who's going to take someone on to beat them. But I think he's got a great way to pass. He senses danger. And as a centre mid, if Manchester United want a centre mid to stand in front of a playmaker and cover him for the next 6 years, they'll go out and spend him. They'll go out and buy them. He's not. I agree with Laura. He's good. He's not 100 million good.
Yeah.
English tax included. I think clubs have learnt from the Harry Maguire mistake that the English tax has limits.
Yeah.
I know you have to have a certain amount of English players in your club, but at the same time, I think that United got absolutely rode on Harry Maguire, and Harry Maguire is suffering for it. If United had paid 35, 40 million for Harry Maguire, he would be getting a lot more slack. Than the fact that they paid more than what we paid for Van Dijk for what is an inferior product. Now, Harry Maguire is a good defender. He's not a great defender.
Yeah,
but if you're spending 85 million on a defender, you need to be better than good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rice, I think, is a good player. And I think he's got the ideal foil for him with Souček.
Can I ask you another question?
Shoot.
I'm risking potentially getting ripped to shreds for this, but I'm going to ask it, and then I'm going to duck for cover if I see the comments getting too rough for me.
That'd be nice.
I'm not saying we'll go and get him. I don't even think we would go and get him. Jordan Henderson, do you think someone like a Declan Rice, if he were to ever come to Liverpool, could be the natural successor to Jordan Henderson?
No, I don't. I'll tell you why. I don't think he's got it in him to be that link player between the midfield and attack.
Okay.
I think Henderson is very good at linking the play. I think, yeah, he's got the covering in him. But if you watch Henderson's quick passing, it's very he gets a lot of stick because he does a lot of that first time whip cross. Most times it ain't going to work. It's not going to work most times. But yeah, I agree with Owen. It's one of these things, right? I remember watching a pod going back on here months ago. It was one Sunday night, and Gav was on, and it's a comment that's really stuck with me because Gav was dead right in what he said. Rice is very good. Calvin is better. But Bellingham is better than the two of them, and he's younger.
Yeah.
Now, I know what you're saying. We won't go and spend on Bellingham. But if you look at Bellingham as a Moneyball quote, the Moneyball thing.
Yeah.
Bellingham is pure Moneyball because he is whatever fee you pay for him. You pay 100 million for him. Is he going to lose his value by the time he's 23? No.
Yeah, his career would have to nosedive. It
would have to have a serious injury, that debilitated his ability to play. So I think even at 100 million and the wages that he would command, he would be the safest bet out of all of them. And for me, it will be between him and Calvin Phillips. I think Declan is more defensive-minded, and I think that position we have it totally locked down for the next 4 or 5 years, as is in Fabinho. Because I think Fabinho is only going to get better. You look at Casemiro, and Casemiro is the best in the world, but he's the best in the world over the last 3 years who's improved. He's got better every year. You look at Busquets. Busquets got better when he hit 30.
Yeah.
Oh,
do you have Casemiro ahead of Fabinho?
I would have 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think they're on a par now. I think, if anything, Fabinho's probably better because he's that little bit quicker. Fabinho doesn't look quick, but he's got those go-go gadget legs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's on you.
Yeah.
He's on you really quick. He's great at reading the game, and I think he's only going to get better at that.
Yeah.
But I think Casemiro was so slept on. He was so underrated because of the midfield that he was in.
Laura said also Bellingham, the ceiling is too high. So high, sorry. True.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've seen Gravenberch's name mentioned, and I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. If you want a reason why we will never sign a Raiola player, dig out Chiellini's interview last week when he was talking about De Ligt. He was basically asking his agent to please don't sell this player because we want to keep him. Not that the club was in control. The agent decides when and where the player goes. I'm sorry. I do not want us to be beholden to an agent of any description. Let alone someone with his form.
I'm for Haaland, Kev. Come on, Kev. You know we love Haaland,
I know
Kev.
you, and I know that Haaland is your wet dream.
Literally.
But yeah, look, Haaland is an exceptional striker who will go on to do lovely and beautiful things. And if he wants to turn around to his father and say, Dad, you come and manage me, great. But as long as it's Raiola, you get Pogba. Because you don't control. Every summer, you're in this conversation. Will he stay and will he go? Will he do this or will he do that? Are we going to have do you remember what we had with Suarez?
Yeah.
Is he going to go to Arsenal? Is he going to go to Barcelona this summer? And every summer you're going to have that. Every transfer window you will have that with any Raiola player. Are they great players? Is Gravenberch an absolute baller?
Oh, yeah, quality.
He's going to be a quality player, even if you factor in the fact that he's in a crap league. He's in a league that. Who was that guy that ended up at Everton? What was that? David Klassen
Yeah.
went to Everton, couldn't do jack shit. Went back to
Yeah.
Holland. He's flying it again.
Yeah.
You know, he's back in the Dutch side again. I don't rate the Dutch league for one minute for players who come directly from the Dutch league into a top flight Premier League side and expect the same results.
Yeah.
You know, but
Gravenberch looks different though.
Gravenberch looks good. He's got that physique. He's got he looks like a proper box to box. You know, he can do a bit of everything really, really well. But unfortunately, I'm really, really stick on this. I think you invite a fox into the hen house and you reap what you sow. No matter how tempting it is, the baggage that brings, for me, it unsettles things.
I can't argue, Kev, but
I understand. Believe me, I understand where you're coming from, because the player, you do it in a heartbeat, but you have to have some cutoff.
Yeah,
and I think that is our cutoff. He is our cutoff, and as long as Klopp is there, I think that's going to be the way it is. Unfortunately,
yeah. To answer Chris's question, I'd go Firmino in the 10 and then Haaland in front. There we go. Nice get idea. Yeah.
Let's go to that.
They're gonna catch me out that easy, Chris.
How do you feel we're going to cope without Bobby? I think we're looking at maybe January.
Jan?
It could be. It depends on the grade of the tear of the hamstring injury. It's going to be a while.
I thought it was just a pull. Is it a tear?
No, it could. Klopp reckons. Well, from what I read, whether there's any truth to this or not, people are saying 4 to 6 weeks. But at this time of year, to build back up your fitness and dip back into intense games, you could be talking in around the Christmas period, you know? So
I think we're going to struggle a little bit. And the reason I say that, it seems as though we kind of found a formula where Bobby works really well for us playing away from home. Jota works really well for us playing at home. Not only that, we don't have any other option. All right, I don't want to be disingenuous to Origi Minamino, but we don't have any other credible. And he knows where I live. I don't need that drama right now. It's a Friday night. I just want to relax after we do this filming. But I want Michael Myers / Drifty outside my door. Do you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, we don't have any credible players on the bench who you look at and think, if the game's not going the direction we want it to, we can just bring one of these players on and potentially change it. Look, Minamino has done well in the League Cup. I'm still not convinced by him. Origi done well in the League Cup. Not convinced by Origi. No. Kai Gordon, brilliant young player, but we can't throw him in like that. It's not right.
Not fair. You set him back. You set players back like that back for me. What did you think of Taki coming on in the 8 for Ox?
In the Atletico game?
Yeah, because
I didn't actually. I've not watched the full game. I wasn't able to. I was at a funeral, but I've heard decent things. Again, I know it's really bad, but I keep on thinking back to that Villa game where we're playing the under-18s, and I'm seeing him getting barged about and knocked off the ball and tackled quite easily. And I'm thinking, this isn't what I want to be seeing.
Yeah, it's like, just. I think for me, the Atletico game, we got the midfield balance absolutely spot on. You know, you had the holder, you had the passer, and you had the runner.
Yeah.
You know, Brighton, it was all wrong. You know, you had someone who was trying to hold, and you had 2 runners, and the balance was just everywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, Taki, I think he's nippy play. He's a quick player.
Yeah, we still don't know what his best position is.
We don't know. The thing is, we haven't seen him play. I don't think we've ever seen him play 2 or 3 games on the bounce.
No,
ever.
Haven't.
So we don't know. Is the truth? You know, and I suppose the other hand, we don't want to find out.
Yeah,
but maybe we need to find out.
We've got no choice, because especially if AFCON goes ahead and
that's going to happen. That is happening. There was a rumor going back a while. But apparently it was to do with the infrastructure being signed off. There was a couple of red tape things that had to be signed off, but that'll get done. It's going to be held in the Cameroon. I just hope that the club can do some kind of a negotiation, because it's not just Liverpool.
Yeah,
I know Chelsea are in the same boat.
Mendy's a huge loss.
Yeah.
This is why I've been saying from the beginning, City are my favourites, because AFCON comes around,
Mahrez.
Kepa goes in goal,
Yeah.
but they're barely playing Mahrez this season.
Exactly. I think Watford are the ones. I think Watford lose 5.
Yeah, they lose
Watford
5.
are going to get seriously decimated.
Yeah, they're going down. They're going down. I hate to say it, they're going down.
I think so. But I think the way I see it, I hope the clubs can do a deal that the players go after the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not a case of like with the Euros where the season finishes for a week or two and then they go and join up. These players are all at European clubs dotted all over the continent. They're all playing.
Yeah.
You know, so they're all match fit. They all know when they go to represent their countries that they know the systems they're going into. Nothing's new. You know, so there's no need for them to go in and have actually the worst thing that could happen for these guys is to have too much time off.
Yeah.
Between the last league game they play and the first, AFCON game that they have to play. If they have a 10-day, 2-week break, you're probably at more risk than if you were coming off of a 6-7 day break,
Yeah.
So hopefully the clubs could do some kind of a deal. But is there any other standout games apart from? I mean, we'll get to the Manchester Derby in a minute. But any other games this weekend that you're looking? Ooh, that looks tasty.
Leeds Leicester.
Yeah.
Leeds need a win.
Leeds need to get some kind of form.
Yeah.
They need to get players back.
They are massively missing Bamford.
Mm-hmm.
Massively missing. Rafinha stepped up like no one's business so far this season, and he's looking like a hell of a player. Dan James looked decent, but again, it was against Norwich.
Yeah.
But Leicester's form is so up and down as well. It's ridiculous. So I actually think that's going to be an entertaining game.
Are you surprised that Brendan hasn't started Daka more?
No. And
really?
not because I don't, and I know people are going to be like, oh, he hates Daka. I just think Iheanacho is a very good. Iheanacho reminds me of Sturridge a lot. Not as good, but it reminds me of Sturridge a lot. And Brendan loves that type of player. And Vardy's just been very good so far this season. I think if Vardy had started the season poor, then I think Daka would have been straight in. Again, I think Daka's getting used to the league, the pace of the league. I think in the Europa, you saw Daka when he's running behind and one-on-one with the goalkeeper who finishes. That's his game. In the Premier League, you don't really
you don't get that space, like that. Do you? Yeah, you don't get that space.
So I think he's trying to adapt his game a bit to the league, which is always going to have to take a little bit of time. I think Daka will actually be good for Leicester. I always said, for us, I don't think he was a player we needed for the game we play. But I think
it's the one thing that we never ever really get is spacing behind.
Really?
I think he's a phenomenal player for a counter-attacking side.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that for me is gonna be because I watched Spurs last night, and at 2-0 up, I thought, oh, okay, he's got the 3-4-3 going a bit. Front three are lively, and then they just turned all Spursy.
Yeah.
3-2 at halftime. Loads of people getting sent off, backs to the wall job. But at least they had the backs to the wall, and they looked like they wanted to put their bodies on the line for a change.
Yeah.
How do you think Conte is going to go? Because I don't believe for 1 second that he's got a penny to spend in January. So
that's what it comes down to, because the squad he has isn't good enough. And I know everyone talks about, he went in and he won the season, he won the league with Chelsea when he got there. That team he won the league with were already champions. Like they had won it the season before, or the season before that, sorry, with Mourinho. And I don't think they really lost anyone of note. Like they had a great team, and he just went in there and fine-tuned it. This Spurs team isn't a great team. Like they need 2 centre-backs, in my opinion, and they've just bought a centre-back.
50-odd million they paid for it.
Yeah, for me, I think Hugo Lloris has seen his best days. I think they need another goalkeeper. They need another central midfielder to partner Højbjerg. And then they probably need another striker. So yes, we'll skip past.
He's young, isn't he, though? He is so young.
Yeah, he just doesn't look like he's got enough about his game, though. But you can see it with certain players.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, for me, with Conte plays with those 2 holding mids. You play with 3-4-3 with the wing backs, left mid and right mid, but they're wing backs. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
And your 2 10s with a striker up top, and he's got that in. His front 3. As long as they don't decide to down tools again, then he's got Son, Mora, Gill to come in, Bergwijn, and Kane. So goals shouldn't be their problem.
No,
it's a case of can he organize them? I mean, and the thing is, you're going to Goodison. I mean, they're not in the best of form, Everton, and they're missing Decore as a huge miss. But I could think of better places you'd want your first Premier League game than to go away to Everton. And Everton side who need a result, and a manager who needs a result, because it won't be long before the natives are getting restless there.
I wonder if there's a story developing with Everton and Rafa. If Rafa gets the sack, is he Newcastle's next manager after Eddie Howe? Because they still love him there.
Yeah, and the thing is,
Rafa with money could be dangerous.
I think the owners originally, when the original deal was being done, right, Rafa was instrumental in introducing Amanda What's-Her-Face to Newcastle. I think that if that deal had gone through then, Rafa had held on there as long as he could.
Yeah.
Before he just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
I think Eddie Howe is... Look, I had this last night. I think Conroy was before we went on air. We never got a chance to talk about it, but Conroy really rates him.
Okay.
I don't. I think that he's a good coach. I don't think he's a good manager. I don't think he's very good with money.
Yeah.
And
he's Brendan Rodgers light, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think Newcastle fans are expecting the Sun, the Moon, and the Stars to come in on January 1st. And there's a lot of... I said it when the takeover went through originally. I think there was 14 games between the transfer window opening and the takeover. You can be a long way off. Yeah. And to be fair, Newcastle, they're a bad side.
Yeah, they are.
And if Eddie Howe has any intention of going in there and playing his brand of football with that squad, he dropped Ryan Fraser when he was at Bournemouth because he couldn't do it. Ryan Fraser's first sub pretty much most games. St. Max is a flash player. He'll do you, he'll do you standout moments, but he'll lose a ball in bad areas. And you're running in then at bad defenders.
Yeah.
I think they're in a world of trouble. And I think it's only dawning on Newcastle fans that, owners or not, by the end of January, it doesn't matter who you bring in.
Yeah, could be too late.
Who you going to attract when you're in the in a relegation dogfight with, let's face it, your third choice manager. I can't believe that these people had a plan to take over this club for so long and they didn't have a football director ready to go on day one with a manager to come in on day two. It looks like they're running the club by tweet. Yeah. And by listening to pods like this.
Yeah.
And
if they are listening to this, then we've got a world class
to Newcastle pods.
Yeah.
As to who they should sign and what managers they should get and this, that, and the other, they're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, if they're listening to this, we've got a world class striker called Divock Origi who
Belgian international.
I mean, we don't want to sell him, but if you need him 60 mil, we'll may start negotiating at 60 mil, 70 mil, you can have him.
Talk to my guy. He's got mates. We can do buy one, get one free.
Yeah.
Or buy two, get one free. I think and that's the other problem Newcastle are going to have. Clubs are going to see them coming. They're going to be what Manchester United were to Dortmund. Bring your checkbook and make sure you got the guarantee card in the back of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. They're going to end up overpaying for everyone, and that brings its own pressure. No, I wouldn't sign Nat Phillips. I wouldn't do that to Nat. I kind of like it.
Same, man. I don't want that going anywhere. I don't know about you, Kev. I love having 5 centre backs at Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah, it's something else. It is just that security blanket, when you're
it feels good.
go to bed at night and that blanket is over your quilt, and you're like, yeah, this is toasty.
You
man.
sleep good.
But
good.
Last thing, we'll get there in the end. Manchester Derby.
Yeah.
On paper, this should be a mauling. It really should.
Yeah.
There is no excuse for this not being 5-6-7 on paper.
I think it's going to be 4.
Yeah. I mean, Varane is out for 4 to 6 weeks.
That's what I was just about to say. You see the difference between him playing and him not playing. And look, without Eric Bailly in the midweek game, that would have been an absolute pasting by Atalanta. And that's Atalanta. That's Zapata destroying their defense. I shudder to think what's going to happen. Like, if I'm United and if I'm Ollie, I'll be honest, I stay off Twitter for the day after, and I go super defensive. I play 8 defensive-minded players, and I stick 2 up top and hope we sneak something.
He's done it against us. He's done it with us when they've played like 5-4-1.
Yeah,
with like one striker and two wide forwards playing wide, or to play 2 split strikers.
Yeah, do it.
What I found really, I mean, look, Atalanta, I thought were a better side with Papu Gomez in it when we played them and smashed them. They were a decent side, decent outfit. Gasperini is a good manager, a good attacking manager, but Atalanta this year aren't anywhere near close to Atalanta when we played them, and they celebrated a 2-2 away draw to them as if it was, the Holy Grail kind of thing. I think if Kevin De Bruyne finds his form, because he's been woefully out of form this season, this could get embarrassing really, really quickly. I don't know how he's still in the. How do you? I mean, Xavi's gone to Barcelona. Conte to Spurs. What was it a case that they didn't think that these managers were available and they decided to keep him? Is it Fergie power?
They can't get rid of him.
What the hell? How is he still in the job?
Fergie wants him in the job. They've just given him a new contract, and they've just given him a hell of a lot of money to spend in the summer. They can't sack him yet. And he'd have to get smashed to absolute pieces by City.
Yeah, that's no.
For him to get sacked. And even then, I still don't think it happens. The earliest he gets sacked is January, February. And for me, that's perfect, because they'll be out of everything by that point.
I mean, this is probably the window this week for managers. More managers will get sacked this week in any football year going back for however long. The last international break before a January window comes.
Yeah.
This week, sees more managers sacked than any other. If he can get through this week, irrespective of the result, if he gets through this week, he'll probably see it out till the end of the season. Because what's the point? Like you said, they're going to be out of everything by then. The question is, can West Ham sustain a challenge for a top 4? Can Conte get Spurs firing and keeping clean sheets? And can anyone else push them? Because I don't believe they can get 70 points.
So here's the thing. I think United probably see this as they can't lose situation, because if Ollie stays in the job to the end of the season and gets top 4, they can still sack him and be in the Champions League. Or they could keep him if they want to. Depends on how they want to do it. If they miss out on top 4, they can still attract a top manager, and that will be their way of getting top players still, because money's not an issue to them. So I genuinely don't think Man U are that fussed at this point about not getting, like, they'll get Europa. At worst, they'll get Europa. But as you said, if West Ham can't sustain it, if Tottenham can't get their act together, Arsenal I don't see breaking top 4. Leicester always seem to just mess it up at the last hurdle. Either way, I think United is still going to be an attractive enough proposition for players to go there in the summer and for them to potentially rebuild. So I think they're fine from a standpoint of not
for getting top
going
four.
under. But they're not winning. They're not winning the league or anything.
That's be all and end all for the Glazers is top four, Champions League, income, revenue stream. They're happy enough with that, you know.
I'll be honest. I think it's like that for the Glazers. I think it's like that for the Kroenkes. I do think it's like that for an extent for FSG. I think top four, and then anything else is a bonus.
Yeah, no, I can understand that.
But what I will say, FSG are not half as bad as the Glazers or the Kroenkes.
No, because
even
fair,
the same.
You know, fair is fair. The FSG will sell equity to raise funds. They don't take dividends from the club. They take a wage, you know, so to speak, but they don't take dividends in anywhere near the same as what Glazers do. My God,
it's ridiculous.
You know? I mean, how do you think? I mean, going into January, we have one space free in the squad. We sold Shaq. We have one space free. Whether we do or don't do anything is one question. Should we, shouldn't we? And obvious answer is there. Where should we?
Kev, you're trying to get me in trouble, Kev. Remember, we've got a group chat, and I said I'm not allowed to speak about transfers until June.
You think we do something?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Would I? Yes. But I'm just a fan at the end of the day. So I'm always going to want a shiny new toy.
Yeah. I get that.
Where would I go? I think we're good at centre back. Right back, I think we can wait till the end of the season. Left back, absolutely fine. For me, it's between a central midfielder and an attacker. I don't think we're getting out and out striker in January.
No, unless they're out of Europe.
Yeah, it's either a centre midfielder or wide forward. Look, if Neto was fit, then I'd be screaming for Neto. I'd be like, get it done. Part of me feels as though the club might be waiting to see if Neto comes back and how he comes back, because we don't seem to be linked with anyone else.
I think you could be right there.
But I think if I had to go for someone, I'd probably go Basuma, providing everything gets cleared up on his side.
Yeah, and he's got no other issues outside of football.
Yeah. What about yourself?
I think it's a wide forward that we need, a versatile forward.
More than a centre midfielder.
Yeah, because I think we've got 8 centre mids. No, I don't think. See, we're seeing the best of Simicast now, and we're seeing Canase coming into the side 3 months after joining the club. I don't think that we sign anyone in January to come into the club sign in January to start making an impact on the pitch in April, which would be how much time it takes to settle in.
Yeah.
Now, if someone becomes available in January because of circumstance, you've got Frank Kessie, who, for all likelihood, could be out of Europe by then.
Yes.
Depending on what happens between now and then. Is he someone that could come into a midfield rotation? Yeah. Is he someone that could come in February, March, April and be a difference maker towards the end of the season? Possibly. I think Salzburg are going to qualify for the last 16, so I think that rules Adeyemi out. I don't think that Adeyemi is the kind of striker that you tend to get lucky enough to sign in January anyway. I think someone like Adeyemi, these kind of players, their career trajectory is mapped out in front of them. They know where they're going next.
Yeah.
And they know, like Haaland. Haaland knew he was going from A to B to C to ultimately D. Wherever those clubs are, I think that's where he's going to go. But there's an awful lot of players coming in January up to 6 months left in their contracts. Some of them really could come in and do a job. you know, and the fact that we still have a space, I think the pressure could come on like last summer or like last winter, where you hope that they learned a lesson that you can't leave to the end of a window and expect your goalkeeper to go and head goals for you to get you into the Champions League. That shit just doesn't happen, you know. So I hope that between now and then we don't have any new injury worries any injury concerns to worry us, you know. But we'll know more come mid-December. You know yourself, by mid-December, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is going to be linked with every club going. You know, we'll know by then. It'll be names ringing off our tongues. Who's free agents in the summer? You know, who's available for a cut price free? I know Frank Kessie is available.
Yeah,
and he is a decent centre mid. You know,
so Mbappe then might as well just get Mbappe then.
Yeah, look.
Nice easy signings complete.
He looks like he's got a bit of an attitude at the minute.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Mbappe is a good player. And again, I've said this and I got slated for it. I don't think he works in our system as a striker. Maybe he's a foil. Maybe in rotation with Mane or Salah, but he doesn't work as a striker.
Wide forward for us. That's the other thing. Our system is so militant in how it plays. I mean, yeah, it changes. Things change within the system and how we're playing this season, especially. You're seeing it more. I noticing it more with Mo Salah this season than any other season.
Yeah,
he's got more choke in his boots this season than any other season I can ever remember.
Yeah,
and Sadio is turned into a 9.
Yeah,
you know, he's a left winger stroke 9.
Yeah.
Because more often than not, he's coming from out to in really early, and he is the centre forward. We're almost playing an inverted diamond.
Yeah.
You know, with Bobby dropping into the 10 role, and Sadio might be slated on Sky and BT as left wing. He's not. He's a flaming striker.
Yeah.
Every which way you look at it. He's the only thing he doesn't do is put his back to goal and take balls onto his chest to lay him off to someone.
Yeah.
He does everything else a striker does.
Yeah.
You know, so, but what you're finding is the left-sided midfielder, whoever that is usually the runner in the side. And the right-sided midfielder tends to drop back into the holding pattern, and Trent becomes the right-sided midfielder.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it more and more and more.
Facts.
When we're defending, Trent is your traditional right-back. When we're attacking, Trent is your almost your Ram stroke 8 stroke 10. Assist maker 10, you know, whatever you want him to be, you know. I think the way we're playing at the minute, we're so fucking unlucky. We're so unlucky. We're unbeaten and we're playing really well. We're on the verge of breaking club records every week, you know.
Yeah.
25 unbeaten is something else.
And
I think we can be picky, and sometimes we don't see the wood through the trees. That we don't tend to appreciate how good we have it.
Yeah.
You know, did you see the tweet earlier on in the week that went out with the Real Madrid lineup?
No.
Klopp. There was a tweet. I think it was James Pierce put it out there. It was the lineup for the away game.
Oh, the Barini one. The Barini one. Yeah.
It ain't that long ago. You know what I mean? Laura's
stuff.
there saying about Brozovic. Sorry, Brozovic is available on a free. I can see Brozovic going to Spurs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Conte. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Brozovic. See Brozovic going to Spurs in the short term, almost nailed on.
Yeah. There's a few players available. Mazraoui. I'll never pronounce his name. It's right back Mazraoui. Yeah, he'd be brilliant as a rotational player with Trent. If Usman Dembele wasn't made of biscuits, and he'd be Klopp's dream, I think. Yeah,
he would be for me as well, because I could play loads with him on FIFA. If he was anywhere near as good on green stuff as he is on my PS4, he'd be laughing all the way to the bank.
He would be, but we can't take that risk.
No, I mean, all in all, there's a pretty hefty weekend of sport there.
Loving it.
You know, there's something for everyone, and it's definitely I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm hoping it's lashing rain and I ain't going to get dragged anywhere because
I'm not. I'm going to take little man to football in the morning.
You got football tomorrow, have you?
Yeah, I've got a little man football in the morning.
Lovely. So I know everyone knows that you're on Coppish and you're as regular as clockwork with your stuff, and I will be in your comment section for your watch along as usual.
Thank you, bro.
Where else can we find you?
On the Sanderson Show, I've got another YouTube channel which I've just restarted. I'm probably going to do a UFC watch along tomorrow night on that channel, providing everything's all right. And yeah, on Twitter, I'm just Callum Sanderson on Twitter, and then you'll occasionally see me on here. Again, made no secret about I love you guys. We'll always support Daytrippers. Kev doing a great job. Me and Chris always go back and forth. I love Chris, Grizz, Avi, Gav, Shawnee, Keith. I'm trying to think if I've missed that. Grizz. Have I said Grizz?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I missed anyone else, apologies, but no, I love you guys and always want to see
you what, you guys in the chat, you all like your UFC. Get on the Sanderson channel. I tell you,
appreciate it.
It's 20, 30 minute, 20, 30, 40 minute pods. It is the guy, Callum knows his stuff. When I found out I was going to be hosting this and I knew that the UFC card was coming up, Callum was the first port of call.
Thank you,
please. And I didn't have to do that. I asked Callum, I was like, Callum, would you please come on? We're talking about UFC and 268. He's like, yeah, man, no problem. Just no problem at all. He was an absolute gentleman.
Bless you, man.
Listen, I just want to thank everyone in the chat for making my first night doing this as pleasurable as possible. I'm really humbled by all of the fact that you've all stayed and enjoyed the content as much as you did. Please give a like and subscribe. And I would appreciate it if you guys would please comment on the show after in the comment section as to what sport you would like us to cover that we aren't. If there's something that you guys would like us to get into that we haven't touched on yet, and give us a bit of time and we'll have a look at it and see if we can do that for you. But listen, thanks very much for all of your comments and
great job, Kev. Amazing stuff, man.
Listen, thank you all very much. I'm really, really humbled by all of your comments. Thank you. On that note, I'm going to ask Chris, who's been in the background all night, popping up your comments, to let us go, and I'm going to go and have another can. Thanks very much for everything. Good night, everybody.
Bye, mate.